Where do you focus? Introverts, as the word indicates, focus more on the things going on inside their mind. They think and they rationalize things internally. They don't need to talk to people to learn things. They don't need to have all of the extra people in a classroom in order to understand something. Extroverts, on the other hand, have to talk things through with another person. They like to be around people. That's where they get energy. That's where they feel the most active. That's where they feel the most alive. Introverts get their energy from thinking while alone with a book on a rainy day. That doesn't mean they're shy because they're not afraid of people. People drain them out. People tire them. So they choose to spend their energy with people that matter, people, their friends, their family, the people who make them think, the people who give them things to process. That's important for everyone. That's the most basic thing in all of personality, is whether you're an introvert or an extrovert. Our society says that extroverts are more important and that it's better. Little kids sit in a classroom if they want to read a book instead of go out to recess. Teachers tell them they should be more social, and that's not the case at all. They just process information differently. They focus internally instead of externally. They get overstimulated too quickly, and that's okay. Because introverts are just as important as extroverts. We have more presidents of the United States have been introverts than there have been extroverts. So they're important people. Half of the population is introverted. The most of our society thinks everyone is extroverted and everybody loves to be around people all the time. I'm an introvert, and personally I find that exhausting. That's the basis of all personality. No matter what race, what color, what country, it's the basis of personality. Everything else comes secondary. That's why it's the first letter in the Myers-Briggs personality spectrum. The second letters, the third, and the fourth letters aren't nearly as important as that base factor. Because if somebody can't focus because they don't have any energy, because they've been out partying all night, or they've been stuck in their house for 2 days, they can't process information, they can't make decisions, and they can't really manage their lives because their lives aren't how they want them to be. The only other important thing about personality that is truly fundamental to how we live in society is how we process information. There are sensing people who live things based on how they feel, based on how it feels in the moment to do it. They do it based on if something feels right. They go with their gut feeling. They don't always seem like they're right. They don't always feel completely confident in what they're doing, but they do it anyway because they don't have anything else to go on. Intuition people, again, like me, they sit there and they think about things for a very long period of time. They use all of the background knowledge to their disposal before they make a decision. Some people say they overthink things or they're over-analytical about intuition people. But intuitive people say that sensing people are irrational and wild and they don't think things through. They're spazzes, they're overstimulated, they haven't processed something enough. They don't understand things. That's not true, they just process information differently. Those two things are so fundamental to society, but nobody knows anything about them. There have been one researcher who has pioneered this whole system of Myers-Briggs. That's Carl Jung. He spent his whole life, he could have studied how people interact with other people, he could have studied how people interacted with themselves, but instead he determined that he was going to study people's personalities because that's the most important thing in society. Some people say it's religion, other people say it's how people look. But those ideas are fundamentally chosen by your personality type, which you can, in fact, change, which evolves, which does everything. You can't become a president if you don't have the right personality type for it. Well, you can, you'd just be miserable. That's impossible. You don't want a miserable president. You'll go to war with everybody. It's not okay. But you also don't want a president who's not okay with what he's doing. It doesn't end well for anyone. So those are the two most fundamental things of a person's personality. That's why they're the first two letters in the Myers-Briggs personality spectrum. Which it is a spectrum. It's not black and white. It's not anything like that. It's a spectrum. Carl Jung said that if anybody was completely extroverted or completely introverted, they'd be insane. So there's nobody, it's not completely, they're not enemies, they're not raging, they're not anything, they're just different. And part of the main way people can tell that they're different is how they make decisions. Most people overlook introversion and extroversion and how people process information. People look at how people make decisions. That's thinkers and sensors. Thinkers think, and sensors don't. Well, they think, but they don't spend so much time thinking about it. They think with everything around them. They think with the people. They think with how everything looks. Thinkers are logical, they're rational, they like numbers, they like things to fit in boxes. Sensors, they essentially like the shades of gray. They like how they go on their gut based on how something feels as opposed to how something looks on a piece of paper. That is the third thing in all of personality because it's the most visual thing for us. Everyone looks at people visually. That's how, so when people say actions speak louder than words, they're not talking about your tendency to give things to poor people. They're thinking about how you make decisions, which is how we manage our lives. Judgers are more organized. They like to make lists, they plan in advance, they are very organized. Perceivers are like a teenager. Their room is a mess. They go with the flow, they roll with the punches. But they both can come to the same conclusion, they just come to the conclusion differently. I'm an INTJ, which is, people who know me don't think that's true, but my room is a mess, but my computer is OCD organized. I'm introverted, I overthink things, I like things rationally on paper. I don't just go with my gut. I can't function that way. I'm not good at math, but I'm really good with words. So the Myers-Briggs spectrum, it's not INTJs are just good at math and science. Extroverts are only good with liberal arts. That's not how it works. It's a spectrum of people who do things differently, who think differently, and who have different personalities. But everybody has a personality, and it falls somewhere on the Myers-Briggs spectrum. I used the Myers-Briggs website. That's the foundation. That's Carl Jung's kids running this website. It's got all of the information, it's got all of the research. I've been reading that website for years. It's fascinated me, people fascinate me. But if you want a more user-friendly approach, 16 Personalities has all of the same information, but it's an easier quiz to take, it's a lot less pressure, but it gives all of the information and a little bit more based on the research that they have concluded on their own. They line up exactly. If you take the Myers-Briggs test, you're probably going to get the same result on 16 Personalities.